I've never had a person who wanted to be called. In fact, I'm going to ask that we change it because I feel this could be clipped poorly to make us look like bigger assholes than we actually are. So as I bring on the caller who is asked to go by the name Muslim, I'm going to ask you to give us a different nickname or a different fake name, because if we're just screaming, if at some point we're yelling something like Muslim, you're not listening, that can be clipped poorly. So Muslim in the US, give me a different nickname we can put on the screen for you as opposed to Muslim.
Yeah, for sure. You guys could put like coffee lover. I like coffee.
All right.
I'm drinking it right now.
That's fine.
Lover or something with it.
Coffee lover's fine. You could have just picked a fake name. You could go by Nick, but we'll go with coffee lover. That's fine.
Okay, cool. How are you guys today?
Peachy. How are you?
Exhausted.
Yeah.
Exhausted. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing well. So I guess kind of relating to the last person. So like so I'm currently a Muslim, and in our religion we kind of believe, so unlike the Bible or the Torah today, we believe that the Quran is unchanged and the unchanged word of God. And a lot of people, even probably in the millions today, unlike other religions, have memorized the entire book from cover to cover. So from this, we kind of believe that the text has been completely preserved word for word. And even some other academics like Marvin Van Putten, who was, I think, he had like a $2 million grant from the UN, even tried to where he tried to debunk this, but he said that the Quran has been preserved, and if you even look at some texts, they have some differences, but the inherited texts of those do not have that same difference, and he thinks it's due to the oral compass of how it's preserved. So I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts on these this is, or yeah.
Yeah, I have not much. If a book, as an atheist, I guess I don't understand the crossover of. Would I be very impressed to find out the modern day Quran is identical to the past Quran if there was a break in the custody of the Quran and that it had to be entirely passed on by oral tradition? That would impress me to no end. However, that you can't prove that that's not how it happened doesn't mean it did happen. And so I wouldn't say that what you just described established that the word for word Quran was maintained by only oral tradition for some period of time that would make it impressive. But if that was ever proven, I would find that very impressive. It just hasn't been.
It was always written.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was written. But I mean, for example, like if you go to the Uthmanic text, there's a long story on how it's worked, but where it's been canonized. So initially, the Quran, I believe, had a few different readings, but then one was canonized. From then, like there was even academic studies. If you find all this, it's practically exactly the same as today. And even if you look at a few texts in between, you will find some differences, but they did not.
Who cares? Everyone had the written reference. Who cares?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You're arguing for something that isn't in dispute. I do not care if the copy of the Quran that you have today is 100% textually identical to the original. I wouldn't. I mean, it's always been written. It's one of the strengths of the Quran over the Bible is that the Bible existed in oral tradition for a good period of time. The whether or not you have a perfect copy of the original is irrelevant when we're talking about, is it true?
Can you go deeper into that?
No, that's it.
Do you think that my copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is 100% accurate to what the author originally wrote?
Yep.
Yeah. Does that mean that it's true?
No, I mean, you're getting a book that's not even 100.
So why would I have needed to go deeper into something that is patently fucking obvious, that the truth of what a book says isn't contingent on whether or not you have an original copy?
I agree with your logic, but if you then go, let's say, like on the Quran, right? It was you have Harry Potter with preserved with the best technology and this and that. the Quran is 1,400 years old and has gone to all continents. Honestly.
So
how can you
what?
say-
That doesn't change. Why are Muslim apologists the absolute
The worst.
fucking worst?
1,400 years ago, the methods for if the Bible had been written 1,400 years ago, the advancement in preservation of written word because of the 1,000 years prior of shit breaking down would have also advanced the Bible to be capable of being preserved as such.
Let me bring one thing.
The
though.
newer
So,
book is more well preserved than the older book. Wow.
But as Muslims, we also believe in the Bible, Torah, and Zabur, but we believe that people they changed those by their hand.
I don't care what you believe. I care if what you believe is true.
Exactly.
When are you going to stop telling me what you believe and start demonstrating that it's true? I don't care what you think about the Bible. It's irrelevant.
Okay. I think it's true because these reasons. Number one, for Islam, right? If you had a book 1,400 years ago, I'm really skeptical that just some person can make a very eloquent book that even has a challenge in it that to produce a surah like it, and that will be, and where God in the book guarantees it'll be preserved and makes that promise, and then it is preserved.
Okay, so you're very, wow, you are, I think you use the word skeptical and you don't know how to be skeptical. I also am skeptical that a book that advanced would come out of something like that from just one dude. And because, never mind, I'm just going to put it, I suspect that isn't actually what happened. And then for a book to say this will be preserved and it be the central claim, the central book of a religion, and then the religion preserves it. Do you know what a self-fulfilling prophecy is, coffee lover? Because you can just do the thing the book says.
Okay, so you're saying that it's not actually the evidence of God, it's just of the followers because it's the central claim.
It's very boring that you think that this is evidence of God, that the religion preserved the book that said it would be preserved is exceptional to you is fucking bizarre.
Yeah, it's so one of the things, let's maybe set that aside for a second, because I think we're all in agreement that you're not going to convince us that Islam is true if you don't actually start presenting evidence for the proposition that Islam is true. Now, I'm happy to believe that the modern versions of the Quran, I have one right here, lest someone, think I'm not remotely familiar. I'm happy to accept that those are almost perfectly in line with what was originally written. I'm happy to accept that there are billions of people who have and who continue to believe in the Quran. This is also true, by the way, of Christianity and other religions. But the truth of a belief isn't conditioned on how many people believe it, how long they've believed it, how strongly they believed it. None of those things impact whether or not the belief is true, because plenty of people have believed untrue things for millennia. So apart from just saying it seems unlikely to you, which doesn't matter, that this book could be preserved after saying it was going to be preserved unless there's a God, is bizarre. What evidence can you present that shows that Islam, in its tenets and its claims about reality, are actually true?
Okay, so one claim it'll be a little away from the Islamic preservation of the text, but God says that there is a something called a fitra, where it's like a natural inclination towards believing a higher power. And today we see, majority of people are believing a higher power, just maybe a billion or so, not in different countries like that.
Hang on.
Okay.
What you just said is that God says there's a natural inclination towards believing in a God. Well, first of all, I'm not aware that God has ever said anything. So you don't get to say God says it. You would have to say the Quran says there's a natural inclination to believing. And that is, you might as well be saying the sky is blue. Because we know that people make mistakes in thinking, and that people seek and see agency, and that things like pareidolia make us see agency where it's not there. Pareidolia is the propensity of humans to see agency and or faces where they aren't. Pareidolia is when the leaves in a bush rustle, you are more likely to think that there's a creature in the bush. And so you avoid it because the ones that stick their head in the bush are the ones that end up dying. Evolutionarily, it preserves the species to be suspicious and to see agency. Plus, we are raised by people who are wiser than us. And so the patriarchal system or the top-down system of saying, hey, all my life, these people looked after me and taught me things. They were right about all these other things. It's likely that they're right about all these, these things that I can't prove. All of that together makes it completely unremarkable for any book to say people tend to presume godlike agency or spirits, whether or not they're there. And so that's not proof of Islam. That is proof that Muslims were able to look at other people and say, wow, we're a curious bunch. We tend to see gods.
Yeah.
Because by the time Islam came around, there had already been many, many, many millennia of people believing in gods. And so you have thousands of years of cultures believing in a variety of different gods. How can it ever be remarkable for someone to write in the Quran, there's a natural inclination to believe in gods? Of course there is. And water is wet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the more direct metaphor would be like, I don't believe the Bible is true just because the Bible establishes Jerusalem exists.
So how would we go about proving that Islam is true? Not that there's something in the Quran that's true. There's plenty of things in the Quran that's true. There's plenty of things in the Bible that's true. I'm sure that Donald Trump, who's an absolutely vile, disgusting liar, I'm sure he said things that were true. Pointing to the things that somebody said were true doesn't mean that the other things they said were true or that the ideology behind it's true. So what can we use to tell if Islam is true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I don't know. I think I'll maybe call back later and maybe think a little more about it.
That'd be dope.
But yeah,
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you, Coffee Lover.
What time zone are you in, Coffee Lover?
Pacific time.
So we start at noon your time. So if you wanted to get in earlier next time, then we have also more time as well. Next Sunday we'll be here at noon. If you're wanting to chat with Matt specifically, I think you'll have to call the Sunday after because Matt is taking off a rare Sunday next Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you guys. Yeah, I'll reflect on all these.
But you don't need to talk to me specifically.
Yeah, could be, maybe not. It'll be me and Derek.
Answers from Jimmy and somebody else.
Derek from Myth Vision will be with me next week.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know Derek very well. I can't remember if we've actually done anything together. I think we were like Facebook friends, but now we're not. Or I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know.
I have seen some of the stuff that he's produced, so I hope you guys have a great show.
Can I call you Colo next time?
Yeah, you can call me that next time. Actually, just before can I cool if I mention one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I watched this Vision podcast, and that is where I saw he interviewed the academic Marvin Van Putten who was talking about the preservation and everything. But yeah, he shared your same point actually. He said even if the Quran is preserved, what does that mean really, right? So yeah, that's a good point. I think I'll.
So why did you save the point? Did you think maybe we wouldn't have? Never mind. We'll talk.
Maybe we wouldn't have agreed.
Yeah, he's just an academic. He doesn't deal with religion. He just deals with the linguistic, right?
All right.
So I just think of you guys in that regard, because he doesn't deal with if this is divine. He doesn't. That's out of his pay grade. He just deals with the linguistic aspect. So I wanted to just talk to you guys about it. So
cool.
I'll call it. Yeah, and thank you guys.
Thank you. See you, Colo.
Sure. Yeah.
Matt, is the Quran that you have there, is it written in Arabic?
No.
Then you were wrong earlier. It is not the original word.
It's both are in there.
I'm teasing.
But yes,
there are actually Muslims who will basically say if you don't learn Arabic and read, you probably know this, but if you don't learn Arabic and read it in Arabic, then you haven't read the real Quran.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow. I'm the executive producer of The Line. And at night, I sneak into Matt Dillahunty's house and I trade his cereals for other cereals. He comes out and he's like, wait, these are cereals I buy, but I swear I had different cereals. Anyway, would you like to support this channel or any specific show? You can do so over on Patreon or in channel memberships. There are special tiers for special shows or for the channel at large, and it helps us expand programming as well as hopefully very soon launch it in podcast form. Now, also, if you'd like to support, you can like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment or a super thanks, which is a special highlighted comment that you pay for. Those are fun. And, screw the algorithm, go check out something over here, I suppose. Boy, I hope I can still put those icons there, because if I can't, this is going to look really stupid. I'm going to go buy some Cocoa Puffs and switch out Matt's mini wheats now.